Minutes were sent out. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Any motions on the minutes?
Move we approve them as submitted.
Say again.
Seconded.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll second the motion.
Properly moved and seconded. Are any adjustments, changes? If not, all those approved? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Do we have any lobby visitation?
No, we do not.
And we will go into director's reports. Brian.
Okay, Jim was, he's away for a family matter today, so you're stuck with me for the duration of the meeting. But the first item on our list is a request to start the project of expanding the membrane treatment plant at the water plant. So the 2024 budget, we had estimated about $4 million to expand the membrane treatment process. This is partly due to the Abbott project coming online, or expected to come online around the 26, 27 timeframe. We're also seeing customer growth in the Northwestern Water and Sewer District. They have a large project that's going on up at 582 potentially. So the original membrane expansion was done back in 2010 timeframe, and it did forecast or plan for this next phase to be installed at some point. Right now, the plant has 4 trains of microfiltration units and 2 reverse osmosis trains, and so the microfiltration units feed the RO process. So our proposal is to look into adding 1 additional microfiltration unit, so we had 5, and then adding 2 reverse osmosis units, so we'd have 4 there. So again, the 5 microfiltrations would feed the RO units. And the idea being that if 1 microfiltration unit was offline for cleaning or maintenance, they could still feed the 4 ROs. They had 4 micros to the 4 ROs. So I think it would likely add around 3 million gallons per day of treatment capacity to the current roughly 10 million gallon capacity. Our average loads are anywhere between 5 and 5.5 million gallons a day. So we do have capacity there that's available, but we like to make sure we have enough for any elbow room we might need. You never know when there's a process that might go down or reduce some part of the plant that we'd have to cut back in capacity, whether it's on the conventional side or on the membrane side. So having that additional capacity would certainly make Mike and Brent feel a lot more comfortable when it comes time to feeding customers like Abbott and future load growth. We did anticipate an OWDA and an EPA loan through the WSRLA program. We utilize that quite a bit for water projects. On the wastewater side, it's the WPCLF program, but it's a way to secure relatively low interest funding for water and wastewater projects. We've used it for many projects over the past years. So the resolutions we have for you are to start the design, engineering, and construction of that process, as well as the OWDA, or the Ohio EPA loan agreement. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about that item.
So once Northwest Ohio District's on and Abbott's on, how much capacity is there left? I mean, like a third of what we have? Or?
Yeah, roughly I'd say a third to a quarter of the build out. It might be maybe in the, let's say, the 4 million gallon range, maybe 5 million gallon range is what, if this goes through, we get the capacity approval from the EPA. I think Abbott was going to be around 1 million gallons a day, and the district's project could be upwards of, say, 500,000 gallons a day, but that's a bit, I'll give a little bit of an asterisk, I guess, just because they say that their largest water consumption is during construction, and so after construction is completed with that project, they would anticipate their water demand would go down. So it is a temporary need, but still likely to be a real need. I think their project is probably a little bit longer construction duration than the Abbott project. So Abbott would probably come on first, from what I can gather. But but again, we'd like to get it done in 2025 so that we're ready for that next piece. And we're already familiar with the equipment that is going to be installed. It'll be identical to what we have today. Again, the microfiltrations, we have 4 of those now. The ROs, we have two already, so it'd be the same process, just more of it. It might mean that we would need to add, potentially add an operator at the plant, just because of the additional equipment and just maintaining those 2 systems, the conventional plant and the membrane plant, is going to get a little bit more complicated with having more of those. So that may be another thing we need to consider for future budgets. But yeah, so.
Thank you.
Brian, is Abbott contractually obligated to the project?
They have bought the property at the corner of Nims and 25. Contractually to the city, no. There's no contract between the city and Abbott. But I would say we meet regularly. We meet on a monthly basis, and we continue to see they've engaged a construction firm, Gilbane, as their contractor. They have an engineer, Burns and Mack, that is part of their project team. So they definitely have all of the teamwork that they would need on their side to build and construct the project as has been proposed to us. So we do continue to see regular progress on their site work. We continue to do progress and with our engineers with ELI for the road work on Nims Road and 25, the water line, the sanitary sewer that we've committed to for the project. So we're both trying to hit our deadlines, and we don't see them slowing down at this point.
Only because I've seen a lot of other projects, they pull out, obviously, like Peloton and
Certainly,
other,
yeah.
other projects. So there is no legally binding for them to go forward.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. So it's all good faith?
Yeah, yes, but I would say that our relationship with Abbott has been very positive, and I think they've obviously purchased a large amount of property out there. They put a lot of money into the engineering and getting a contractor on board. In some sense, I guess maybe it's just how some of these projects go. There are times where things don't pan out like Peloton. I think the one difference with this would be that Peloton was I would say more of a specialty product maybe, and that they're catering to a niche market of people that want to buy that equipment and use it. And they also estimated their expansion from COVID days when people weren't going to the gyms; they were buying more home equipment, and so they saw a large sales increase. And they thought, hey, we can manufacture more product and sell more product, and that maybe went bust because people were going back to the gyms now. Abbott is going to be, manufacturing a formula product that is for people that have special allergies and dietary needs, and that demand for that product is not going to go away, just because of something like COVID that happened. So the product they're going to bring to the city is not going to diminish in its need from what people are going to need to buy. So if that helps answer your question to some degree.
Well, I
maybe.
just wasn't sure how these projects work like that. I didn't realize there was no, contracts or, total obligation. So if they pull out, we've done all this, we're committed to do it, but there's no finance, we would get no, you'd have to sue them I assume, to recover any funds, I guess,
Yeah.
of the project?
I'm not an attorney, but I
don't know.
don't think there's any way to sue Abbott for, if they decide to make a financial decision or make a decision about their development of that site.
Okay.
I don't think that means that the investment itself is a bad investment. I mean, the equipment that we buy is going to be there for the future growth of the city, our customer needs going forward. So if Abbott doesn't use that capacity, if the district's project doesn't move forward, it doesn't mean that there's not value in having that equipment at the water treatment plant. Maybe you bought it earlier than what you would have, but it's also true that prices continue to go up with inflation, and so these projects don't get cheaper going into the future; they just get more expensive. So in a sense, if you're buying it now, maybe you're buying it at a lower price, and if you waited, 10 or 15 years, you're going to spend more money for it. But I can't give you an assurance that the project is going to, isn't going to. But what I can tell you is the meetings we've had with them up to date have been extremely positive. They've had nothing but, continued progress on their site development. I think you're going to see at some point here in the near future, they're going to be removing some of the buildings that were out there at the corner of NIMS and 25. They'll probably start doing some grading of the site. And then you'll start seeing some real, activity on the property, which we haven't seen up to this point, but yeah. So
I know you were just kind of throwing out rough numbers, but that, million gallons or the 1 million gallons, is that like a startup number, or is that something they'd likely grow to? Or is it, hey, they're going to be around there at launch, and then, maybe it's up to 1.5, 2 within a couple of years?
I think that was their build up maybe in a couple of years. 26, I believe, they're looking to do their process and startup work. It's very, if you can imagine the complexity of manufacturing that type of a product for people that have certain dietary needs, you obviously has to be a very high quality process. And these are things I think that we haven't seen this type of manufacturing in Bowling Green before. So it's going to be interesting to see how they develop the site and how they actually manufacture that material.
I just want to make sure if we're doing it, to your point of it doesn't get cheaper in the future, are we doing enough? I guess is kind of my question. It sounds like, being from the numbers you threw out, it sounds like we've got plenty of room to grow there. I just want to make sure we're capitalizing on that if that's the.
This is as much as we can put in the building with the space that we have available. So the plan back in 2010 timeframe was we're going to build a building that can double its size as far as equipment goes. And so they put in half at that time, and then there's floor plans and space available for the other half to be put in at some point in the future when we needed it. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to just fill up what we can with the space that's available. If anything beyond what is out there, what we're proposing for this project, it'd have to be a new building, which we can't build to the south any further because of the transmission line that's out there. We likely would have to build to the north of the conventional plant. There's a grass field that maybe could be utilized, but that would be a whole different project, a whole new process. This is just a continuation of what was there before. So once we build this out, we'll be out of available floor space. Anything new beyond this point will have to be a new building, new process, new equipment.
Any other questions? Any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 03-2024-01, authorizing the Utilities Director to enter in a contract for the design, engineering, and construction of the water treatment plant membrane improvements.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, Michelle, would you call the roll for us?
Newlove? Yes. Jesse?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Suzik?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Do I have any others?
Sir Chair,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 03-2024-02, authorizing Utilities Director to execute an agreement with the Ohio Water Development Authority or the Ohio EPA Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Program for the design, engineering, and construction of the water treatment plant membrane improvements.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Just appreciate the due diligence on the conversation.
Absolutely. Good questions. Michelle, would you call the roll?
Suzik?
Yes.
Hogan?
Yes.
Wagner?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Newlove? Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, thank you very much. The next item, again, at the water plant. If you recall, back in 2023, the city purchased roughly 39 acres north of the current reservoir. Give you an aerial map of what that parcel looks like and where it's at. So we bought that with the idea that could possibly be used for expanding the reservoir to the north and adding to our raw water storage capacity. We currently have 170 million gallons roughly in that reservoir. That gives us about 30 to 40 days supply. So we did put in the 2024 budget about $100,000 for an engineering study to help us develop a plan. Look at the geotechnical analysis of the site, constructability considerations, estimate how much storage we could gain from that property, schedule, costs, those types of things, to give us some idea of how we can move forward on expanding the reservoir and what's the best way to go about doing that. So we'd like to hire an engineering firm to put that together for us. So we have to go out and get qualifications and make a selection for a firm. If you do recall, this is the property that has the Nexus pipeline that goes across it, so we can't use all of it. But there is a good chunk to the south of the property that could be used for potential reservoir expansion. So we'd like to get that started, and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Brian,
This is something I'm sorry.
go ahead.
We had planned for it. This is all part of that. No changes, nothing new. This is just executing on the plan, right?
Correct.
Sorry, go ahead.
How many engineering groups do we expect to submit to give us plans? Or what would we usually expect?
We usually
Handful?
get 3 or 4
Yeah.
typically. Engineers are hired a little bit differently under Ohio Revised Code. We have to do qualifications, and we can't ask them for pricing. We basically look at their experience and their resumes, so to speak. We do ask them to give us some insight into the projects, what will make them different than others. They can give us information about their schedules that they might be able to keep, the staff they have available to work on the projects. So it's very different than hiring a contractor to actually go build something.
Yeah.
Once you've established who the most qualified is, then you enter negotiations with them, and you can start talking about price and cost and how many hours you think it's going to take and the scope of work and that kind of stuff. So, the first step is to get the qualifications determined, get one selected. If you can't come to terms with the first firm, then you can go on to the second one and negotiate with them in the same mindset. So it's, again, a little different than hiring a contractor, but just how the revised code requires us to do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any motions?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve Resolution 03-2024-03, authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into contracts for the raw water reservoir expansion study.
I second that motion.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Michelle, would you call the roll?
Newlove,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hogan,
Yes.
Suzik,
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is request for some electric division vehicles and sale of a vehicle. So in the 24 budget, we had money in there for purchasing two trucks, a total of $450,000. But the delivery date on these new trucks is 2 or 3 years out, and they typically don't like to hold those prices because they don't really know how much their cost is going to be when it comes to when you actually get the truck. So we've looked at the used market, but that can be filled with trucks that are very well used and not in great condition, also for higher prices. So we did come across a company that has some rental trucks that tend to be a little lighter used, and the prices are actually lower than what we had in the budget. The name of the company is Global Rental Company, and so they have 2 vehicles that meet our specifications, our needs. The line truck is around $175,000. The bucket truck is around $200,000. So overall, that's $375,000, which is less than the $450,000 we had in the budget. These trucks are available relatively almost immediately if we get authorization to make the purchase. So we would like to move forward and get authorization to purchase these trucks from Global Rental Company. We'd also like to sell bucket truck number 427. It needs at least $35,000 in repairs to make it safe for our process or our operations. Wood County has a use for the truck. They don't have as many requirements as we may have for a bucket truck like this. They're not linemen. They don't work on electric power lines, so they're a little bit less. But they've offered to purchase the truck for $15,000. So instead of spending the $35,000 to get back an old truck that may not be worth all that, we could sell it for them. The trade-in value for this is even less than $15,000, so that's why we would like to sell it to Wood County for that price. Yeah, so I think that covers most of these items, but mainly just looking to get the ability to purchase some trucks and get in this year versus waiting for 2 or 3 years.
Question. I don't know it right off the top of my head, maybe I should, but do we have a rough idea how much we're spending every year just on like service for vehicles? I'm asking because if we need it, I don't have any issue with going forward with it. I think it makes a lot of sense. But knowing that, hey, we've got this lead time built in, do we need to, maybe even in the 2025 budget, do we want to start ordering new vehicles just to make sure the fleet doesn't get depleted, knowing that there's this kind of established variance in used vehicles that you're going to have to absorb? Do we want to start, planning on new stuff going forward, or at least some element of that?
Great question, John.
Yeah, because right now they're 4 years out.
Is your mic on,
We
John?
just ordered a small bucket a year and a half ago, and we just got a call, actually today. Call today that pushed it back until 26, the third quarter in 26. So it's a terrible market. And they don't hold any price either. If you want it,
Subject to
when
whether
it comes
it's
in, here's what you're gonna owe. It's tough to budget for stuff like that.
Sure.
That's why this is such a good deal to find these off-lease ones.
No, it makes sense, and I get we need to get what we need to get, but if we've got things out on order already, then that makes sense. I just don't want to get to a point where we're, they're like forklifts or whatever. You can have them used as
No.
long as you want, and then when they all die at the same time.
Yes,
and
I
that's not a
know.
good
That's
place
what
to live.
that's what we're up against right now.
Is there such a thing as like a Kelly's Blue Book of bucket trucks, used bucket trucks? I mean, how do you,
I'll
do
let
you know
Jess
what
for that.
they are worth, or?
There is,
Yeah.
but it all
just-
depends. Especially we weren't expecting these hoses to all be bad inside the boom, the bucket, and for $30,000, it's almost $35,000 just to repair that, and they were going to give us between $10,000 and $12,000 in trade-in. The county offered that up, so we thought that was a pretty good option for us.
I mean, it says it used bucket trucks around 200 grand is what you're looking at. I mean, I don't even know, what's the new one? What, even
Yeah.
round ball, or what do you?
Yeah,
even
they're up around
think?
300,000.
300,000?
Yeah.
Well, what year are these you're looking at? And how many miles are on these, or time, by hours? I don't know how they,
No, they go by miles. The one has like the bucket truck, I believe, was like 12,000 miles.
oh, that's nothing.
It was they actually had it for a rental. They used it for a
okay.
rental, and then they just put it out there that had it available. So that's
Yeah, that's
kind of why we're here to jump on that. So
Yeah, that's-
Do they offer any kind of warranty at all, or? for a
yes,
period of time?
yes, there is a warranty on it. Cab and chassis, and there's an engine warranty on it.
Yeah.
We typically utilize purchasing through the state purchasing process. There's contracts out there that companies get with the state that you can buy these vehicles. We used to utilize that quite a bit. They've already negotiated the price for us. They have exactly what you want. You know ahead of time before you get it, what you're going to get basically. And again, with the long lead times on these pieces of equipment, those contracts are, even if you order through that, if they would accept the order, you're still again like 2 to 3 years out for the vehicle, and really no way to expedite that.
Excellent. Any other questions?
So Chair?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 032024-04, authorizing the Utilities Director to enter into contracts for the purchase of vehicles and the sales of vehicles and equipment.
Second?
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Michelle, would you call the roll?
Suzik,
yes.
Pogan,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Newlove.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you very much. All right, the next item is a request to make some substation relay improvements in sub 4. We've done substations, substations 2, 3, and 5 already, so this is sort of a continuation of those projects. In the past, we had typically utilized Spectrum Engineering to do all of our relay work. This is a very technical field where you need a specialized person that can do this type of work, and Spectrum had always done our work for us in the past. We were comfortable with their engineers. Due to our maybe growth or expanding into other areas and hiring other engineers and consultants to do work like SSOE and Compass, we've gotten more comfortable with other engineering firms that are out there that maybe do this type of work. Also, this Spectrum has had some staffing changeover in the past. So we would like to continue with the relay upgrades, but also seek qualifications for engineering services for designing and doing this work for us. We believe the project is going to cost around $250,000 total. So again, we're looking to go out to get qualifications. Same as we talked about before, hiring a consultant, pick the best consultant, the most qualified, negotiate a contract with them, and continue this process or this project. So I think Jim did give you a handout or a cut sheet for a relay SEL 751 if you'd like to look at that detail. You're welcome to. If you have questions, John is here to help answer those. So
I pined over that diagram.
There are pretty pictures in it.
that is great pictures. You know, I can't tell you what they are, but they're great pictures.
So Brian, do you, kind of off the topic, do you pre-qualify engineers with the city?
We do not. We basically take every qualification as their statement of what they would like to do for the project or what they can do for the project. I mean, we have obviously used engineers in the past, and we use that past experience to help us guide whether or not they have qualified people. But there's certainly people that submit qualifications that we've never worked with before, and you're trying to score them fairly. So but we don't do any kind of pre-selection. I guess if you guys do that at the university, I'd be happy to hear more about that.
Okay. That way you don't have to issue an RFQ for every project. You can reach right out.
Okay. We've not done that before, but I'd be
Yeah.
interested to hear more about that.
All right.
Any questions? Any motions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I move we approve Resolution 03-2024-05, authorizing Utilities Director to enter into contracts for the engineering, programming, and construction of substation relay improvements.
Second the motion?
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, Michelle, would you call the roll, please?
Newlove,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Hogan,
Yes.
Suzik.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, thank you. And the last item is just a verbal update here about our discussions with AMP Transmission or AMP-T. So if you recall, they were helping us to evaluate the impact of a large solar field that's going to be built over in Weston, or maybe just west of Weston, Ohio. That solar project does appear to be moving forward. They did the analysis for us, did identify some potential areas where there needs to be some upgrades to our infrastructure as a result of that project. So we are in discussions with AMP about next steps on what that means. Typically, what I'm told is that the solar developer has to pay for those upgrades, and that should not be a cost that come back to the city. So as we get more of that information, we'll keep you posted on that, as well as the potential sale of some of our transmission system to AMP-T. As you know, they constructed a transmission substation up at the corner of Bishop and Brim Road that provides us with a fourth interconnection to the transmission grid. We have 3 from First Energy, 1 from AMP-T. But AMP has been helping members out in other communities by purchasing some of their transmission systems that are part of the bulk electric system. And they've identified that some parts of the Bowling Green system could be part of that process as well. And this would be looking at the western side of our transmission system from, say, the Poe Road sub, which is just south of the fairgrounds. And if it goes west and then to the south down towards the Gypsy Lane substation, there's a portion of the 69 kV line that could be purchased by AMT. Again, we'd have a similar lease and maintenance agreement with them as we do with the Bellard substation. They are looking to solve a bit of a problem with AEP further south of Bowling Green, south of Portage, where AEP is looking for an additional transmission line to feed a weak part of their system. And they've identified that a line out of Bowling Green could possibly supplement that or benefit that area. And one way to do that is have AMT build that line and then connect to AEP. So it could potentially provide us with some upgrades to our system, as well as provide us with some revenue to purchase those assets. As in addition to another connection with not just First Energy, but now with AEP. Granted, the stronger fee would come from our side down to the AEP side, but it doesn't mean it also couldn't work in the other direction as well. So there are some benefits to the project. We haven't worked out the details yet. Again, we're just in discussion process right now, but that does continue. I think that's the bulk of what Jim wanted to catch up on. So you'll probably hear more about those projects as the months come at us here. So that's all I have for you tonight, unless you have other questions for me.
Thanks, Brian.
No question. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Jim owes you lunch.
He does.
All right, Mantry reports, electric, John.
We're down in Portage, changing out. I think we got about 15 poles down there we're changing out. And we've got another crew over here working on the Abbott temporary service for them.
All right, thank you. Water supply, Brent.
The guys are starting to do maintenance on cleaning out the tanks. We pull them down twice a year and rinse everything out. And so the guys are getting busy working on those.
All right, thank you. Those two not here. Jackie, business.
We're working on 2023 audit schedules.
All righty, thank you. Official reports, Mr. Mayor. No report. Administrator. No report. Attorney, no. Public Works. No report. Engineering.
We opened bids for our 2024 paving program about a week and a half ago. Got a bid for that. Our estimate was around $1 million, and lowest bid came in at around $700,000, or just under $700,000. So that's for Sand Ridge and Pearl. So two streets that badly needed. And then the village water line, contractors put in about 500 feet of water line on Jefferson. So we're going to Jefferson, and then they're going to turn down Fort and go down Fort. So that project got going. South Main water line, hope to have plan approval from EPA this week, so we can put that out a bit soon. That's from work way down to Gibson. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Communications.
Two things, we're interviewing for the sustainability coordinator position this week, so we should hopefully have an announcement for our new person for that role here shortly. Jackie asked us to pick out some information regarding the utility scam. That was more preemptive messaging, if you saw that, it did get quite a bit of attention on social media and some of the local media as well. It was something that by Jackie's attention, it was other surrounding Toledo. Yeah, her family member was as well, so, that was picked up as a corrective measure, thinking that it can very easily have this thing, our residents as well. Particularly concerning because they're, posing as imposters and, approaching people's homes and trying to ensure, as a safety thing, so. We got a lot of messaging for that. And then I would just say that we're continuing with the kind of action plan and hope to be here. Exactly.
Thank you. Council member reports. No report. Board member reports. Anything new? Anything old? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Same sign. We are approved or adjourned. One of those.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on, I got some papers for you.
Strange not having a coat.